That's a new idea. Maybe we should use that sometime. I don't even know what the question is.
Stakeholders and
Stakeholders,
students.
how do students benefit? I think structure is I think because I actually take the time to think about what's really important for students to learn. If this teacher doesn't know where he or she is going, then the students won't have an idea either. And I use mind maps a lot, and I think that helps. The whole idea of concept maps, I think, I haven't used it that much. I've used it a few times, but I really believe in it. Like the idea of being able to show the student, this is where we are, this is where we're going, this is the way this relates to that. I think that whole idea is very important. Sense making, I think, is sense making is a huge. I think if there's a theoretical construct which has to do with pedagogy, I think it's sense making. You know,
trying to tie things together.
Tying things together. You know, why does this matter? Why is this important? How does it fit in with this? I think that's really important. But
so almost the strategic issues, and I use that word strategic issues, i.e. the planning, the figuring out which classrooms to use, how things connect, what's the main idea, that pre-planning, can I call it that? Strategic stuff. That's more important in many ways because the operationalization is happening.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, I think the other thing which I do, which I don't think many people do, is I have very detailed lesson plans.
Right.
Because for every seminar I have a mind map for the entire seminar, complete with timing for everything. And sometimes I follow it, sometimes I discover halfway through that I'm not following it, but I mean...
You have a plan.
I have a very detailed plan with exactly, what's, from 0.05 when the class starts to 0.15, we're going to do this, and then the next step is this, and then... So it's
that structure that you
pedagogical design there. It's design. It's designing an experience in a sense. This is I have the experience here, and I have the destiny or the destination here, and I've got to figure out how to get there. And the sort of the mind map, the lesson it's a kind of map which I hope will get there.
Yeah, but yet also being able to be flexible within that to discover that.
Yeah. So it's about imagination. I think it's sort of imagine what would bring about this insight in a student,
and it kind of emphasizes the importance of the before. Before the class, in the sense, the thinking through, the planning, the creating, the innovation which happens in this chair, and putting it all together, is actually one of the fundamental, or one of the key parts of this Brian Duncan.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with when I teach. It's like I say, because
you reap the rewards there.
Well, because my teaching comes from preaching, and when you preach, you have a very restricted amount of time. I don't do this anymore, but I wish I still did. But I mean, I used to know how many words I could speak in a minute because I used to time myself, and I used to know that I can in 1 minute I get through this many words on average. So I will often write out my whole lecture and practice it. And when I practice it, because I'm actually, some people can just talk, but I'm actually, I have a very bad memory. So
you're scared you're going to forget.
Yeah.
Or there's things that are critical to that main central idea.
Yeah.
So you make sure that it's in that concept map.
Yeah. But then I can still. But the funny thing is, though, even though if I go through a lecture and I practice a lecture, that makes me flexible. because then I more or less know what I'm going to say because I practice saying it. So halfway through, I can actually stop and take a break and use a different example or something, or cotton onto something a student says. So it's a strange kind of flexibility. Yeah, it's very, very strange. So there's a
structured.
There's a big tension there because the same thing with my seminars. On paper, they're extremely well structured, but if you go to the seminar, it feels very informal and unstructured, and some of it is unstructured, but and it's the same with the lectures. That it's I talk very freely, and I move around.
So it looks like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it looks
but in your head, it's perfectly planned and structured. So that's almost an art in itself.
Possibly, yeah.
To create because when students know it's too rigid, then they get stressed as well sometimes because they go, oh, it's
yeah. So I think preparation is a huge part of it, the hidden part of it, quite possibly. What was the question?
We were speaking about the benefits.
The benefits, the stakeholders.
Do you think JU benefits from Brand Duncan? Strong Brand Duncan?
Yeah, it does in the sense that we get a lot of students who come here. This is also one of the benefits of having Brand Sweden.
Yes.
Or Brand JU, is that you get so many students who come here and are just overjoyed with a completely different style of teaching, regardless of who's teaching. So and that's kind of Brand Sweden. It's like because Swedish students have high expectations or high demands of teaching. It's teachers have to, in some sense, adjust to students' expectations. And even if you're a weaker teacher in terms of pedagogy, you've got to try and
raise your game
somehow. It's a good question. Obviously JU benefits from the brand, but the brand I'm not entirely convinced, because the brand highlights weaknesses as well. That's the problem. It's not just, if you have a very good teaching team on one course and a very weak teaching team on a second course, you're
kind of highlights.
You're highlighting the weaker course, which doesn't necessarily build the brand.
In fact, it might increase dissatisfaction with
definitely
the core brand.
Yeah, absolutely. You could have students feeling that there's too much
difference.
There's too much variation in quality. I don't think JU or JIBS harvests the brands enough. I don't think we spend enough time trying to figure out what good teachers do, and why they are
what makes them good.
What makes them good? I don't think we spend enough time doing that, and we don't spend enough time coaching. Spending time developing teachers
and recognizing, that side as well.
Yeah. So I think definitely the organisation benefits from a teacher brand, but it probably has its then dark side as well.
We focused a lot on the strong professor brand in the classroom. Do you think there's a benefit in your research? Do you have? One challenge that we have is that we three are very good teachers. But is a professor brand just about teaching, or what do we do with the strong researcher brand, professor researcher brand? And do we? How do we?
I'm a very weak researcher, but the place where I think where the brand is going to win long term is the